What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. A lot of you guys enjoyed yesterday's market watch on penny stonks. I'm really thankful for the feedback, so I'll be trying to do one of those or two of those per month from now on, looking around and finding out the really cheap cards that have upward potential in the future. That being said, unfortunately, today's theme for market watch is buyouts and price hikes. That's been the theme heading towards the new master rule, and the market has been supercharged like never before. So if you are purchasing cards off of TCG Player, please use that TCG Player link of mine in the description down below, costing you nothing extra and supporting the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying. But wow, if you're in the market for staples, they keep climbing. 125 over here, it's not much better at 120 over on eBay. And people are asking me, are there budget alternatives for Apollosa? Like I'm playing dinosaurs. It causes me to turn my head. I was saying Dolka before, there's a budget version, and now even the worst played versions of Dolka out of the 10s are $10 and above, and so are the better copies. And then you go to Photon Shockwave, wow, literally their prices can't keep up on their front page, and it's mid buyout also. People are really looking forward towards the new master rule, and dinosaurs are a fan favorite deck, and we also know that they're gonna get a rewave on their structure deck, so that's going to be cheaper. You're also going to have dino reprints and dual overload, and I guess people are trying to pick up the pieces that they think won't get reprinted. But I keep calling for Apollosa to be reprinted in Battles of Legend as one of those boss monsters similar to Crystal Wing, and then more recently Boral's Sword. And even with an announcement, even with panic selling, it's going to rebound quickly towards the WCQ season if that does happen, and it's unlikely we get Battles of Legend before the WCQ because it was announced as June 19th to 21st. So unfortunately, if you are picking up Apollosa or looking for it, there's not a true replacement because, well, she's very generic, whereas you have to specifically commit 2/4s. I get that Rex is a card, but you're usually using your Overraptor and miscellaneous source stuff to link up. Like, it's just very hard to say, well, you could use any 4 monsters pretty much with different names for her versus the specific ones for other cards. There's not a good replacement. That's why she has the price point she does have. And yeah, you're going to be stuck paying a lot for her heading into that season unless it's magically and dual overload, which I don't think it will be. The Ancient Warriors come out to play. Got a lot of support the other night, and I think that the market did react very favorably towards them. You do see the 2 most wanted ones, Sun and Virtuous, really going up in price. They were towards 14 last night, already cooling down. I think the days of $1 to $2 versions of these are over, but they'll head back down to between 3 to 5 and then spike back up because that sets all the way after the WCQ also. And with the support we already knew they were getting, they're not going to be a true player in the game yet. And also, test out the deck. Don't just dive for cards. Kind of test it out and see if it's really for you. It's not much better on eBay. $7 over here, $9 over here. So I would personally take a little bit of time, not dive for them. The rehype will be in the dead season. Chill out and take your times picking up your cards. For information, Tinky is also far up in price. We see it towards $75 and then $80 over here on TCG Player. A little bit cheaper over on eBay. We see a $60 German copy and then a couple more, but it does quickly rise to the same prices if you're in the market for this. I don't think this is directly tied to Ancient Warriors. It already was close to these prices. Just a couple disappeared. There's not that many on market, so it's easy for things like this just to scatter. Don't be panic buying them. Make your decisions. If you've been waiting for a while, it'll cool back down over time just a little bit, but it won't be very fast in how it does so. So somebody who said I'm making content just to kind of shout out my Patreon and make money here. I make more doing 3 to 4 market watches than my Patreon makes in a month. I want to be very transparent and quick maths. If I'm sending out to all 50 states, which is my goal eventually on Patreon, that would be 1,000, which is still far less than advertisement revenue and actually about where I get my sponsorship money each month. So I'm not watering down content to thank and shout out people for being on the Patreon and to update that we're now in 12 states on the Patreon for what I'm mailing out. But I have an exclusive Market Watch feed over here that does filter in conversations, and I enjoy thanking people and also shouting it out because I do have the goal. It's really fun to keep up with the spreadsheet, see everything I've sent somebody, and kind of send out original OCG cards that are waifu, classic, random, or ultimate rares that we don't get, alter arts, and other really cool things. And I've got a lot of feedback that people enjoy growing those collections through me, because every card I get in is something I'd personally want. So thanks for the people signing up over on Patreon, or even just checking that out without going robble, robble, robble. We have over here the Gaia stuff getting buyouts. I mentioned that Millennium Pack was baby stonks for the alter versions of cards. I didn't think it would happen so soon, and we just see this guy. I actually can't believe this. Towards $19 to $20. And then over here on eBay, you do see that there's cheaper copies because people didn't want to rush towards them at $6 and wait forever for them to come in. So there's a couple that you can still get if you're really panicked about it. This fusion is actually very good, though, if you read it with the new stuff, because its name is Gaia the Dragon Champion, so it works in archetype with the field spell and stuff. While it's on the field, if it was special summon, you can add the Spiral Spear Strike, you know, with the fusion and the double attack and everything going on. When this card declares an attack on an opponent's monster, you can change its battle position as well. So I guess that goes in theme with the new support, but it's actually kind of an interesting card. Ultimate Rare Spiral Spear Strike, the biggest brain buyout of the decade. Where does it land? Oh, there's a $90 unlimited copy, 4 of them. Thank gosh. Please don't buy these. Just don't do it. Even if you're using my TCG player link, don't be buying this card for any sort of price close to this. They'll be 30s eventually, I would hope. Even with the collectability of being one of Yugi's cards, they were $4 not too long ago. I'm really disappointed to see a lot of top rated sellers not be motivated sellers and kind of go with this meme of trying to list above $500. Speaking of old cards, I saw a Twitter post that said if we had an example of the old Neko Gal number 1 and number 2, there would be Gaia Field Spell number 1, Gateway of Chaos, and the new one being number 2. This is still an interesting prospect because you can use set rotation to send this to your opponent's side of the field, and they won't be able to flip up field spells if they're playing a field spell deck and they're not playing the same kind of deck as you. So I think Gateway of Chaos is actually an interesting tech to consider for the deck. Only has its 2 printing. I remember when this was $20 for that effect, and also the secret rare is a rarity upgrade out of Shadows in Valhalla, a super baby stonk. Do consider that, and not being stuck without it and it becoming like $5 down the line. Invocation is up on all rarities. People keep doing Master Rule rebuyouts as we do approach that time. I find it interesting people are so faithful to this engine as a prospect because it isn't without its problems, committing the normal summon to Alistair, but sometimes that's bait because you hard drew Invocation. It does have a lot of potential under the new Master Rule, but boy are people after this one. I think you even still go into the Link Monster to be able to get Invocation back, and I mean, I don't think you'll be playing much differently. You'll be fusion summoning twice, so like, I guess there's a little less restriction on it. It does have upward potential, but boy, people really seem sure about this one on the secondary market, so do be aware of that if you were in the hunt for the engine. It keeps going up for now. Blackwing Zephyros the Elite has always been a great ultra rare option on the market. We saw it recently bought out towards $20. It didn't fall out very well, and it's getting rebought out right now with only 3 prices on market. Somebody was asking me about it and what's happening with it and why it's so up in price. Well, it's an amazing card, and this is its highest rarity. Also, Blackwings are very collectible. If you haven't looked through Blackwing cards, it's an interesting little thing to do whenever you're just kind of figuring out the market. There's a lot of things worth money you might not have thought that were worth the money that they are, $5+ for a ton of different copies. So people do love their Blackwings, unironically, and under the new Master Rule, a little support. Deep Sea got a little support last night, but people weren't jumping at the bit for it. I still suggest the Dual Saga rarities, as cheap as they can be, versus the other cards, and I know TCG Player isn't keeping up with the updates fully. It's still very, very affordable if you want a holofoil version that I think some people will appreciate, and I see this being 6 to 7 once the actual support gets here. Get your half-price divas. Mystic Fighters keeps defying gravity on the market, and I just find it interesting on all fronts. Generator got updated support in the core set, giving some bolsters there. You see Boss Stage staying up, you see Mardell staying up, but the Math Mechs too, without much love towards them in the core sets, are managing to stay up in price, at least for Albertion. I get that he has some generic implications, and Lapulation is still towards $5, and of course the Dragon Mommies getting their strength in the core sets, staying way up in price. This is just an oddity towards me because, like, you see even stuff that is somewhat meta viable, like the Magibullets, they don't get this kind of traction. Prank Kids, nothing close, even with the Master Rule, like, kind of breaking them open. You see no kind of traction like this, or longevity, when nothing is directly in the metagame. So this is just a really cool set, and for its pricing, I might think that it will turn out pretty good sealed despite short printing. I think it might be good to keep a couple of boxes and consider that down the road. Gizmek Kaku up in price. I told you guys that wonky things would happen with this. You had an opportunity to get it towards 22, 23 on its first fallout, and it really hasn't looked back since. It's only been going back up. But I told you guys that people would play market games with this because it has a limited window to play market games with. You want to use it right now. It gets worse under the new Master Rule. At best, it's a side card over there, which then you're considering versus Phantasme, which gives you draw and hand fixing power. This card is very strong, but the Master Rule kind of gives it an optional vibe, and it's the limited time to play games with, and the special edition's coming. So do consider that. It's not going to probably stay up in price, but it is very shorted in the US. Gallic Granite is going up in price little by little over here. You still have the $3.50 options. Do be aware though, it's probably gonna get hype with the new Secret Slayer set. You have the Adamatias, and I think Gallic Granite is a very good card generically as a 4 for the Rocky Boys. You can make him with any 2 4s. Search Nibiru was the original kind of hype for him, but now people are looking at it in combos and other things. Do consider having your copies. I find this interesting. First off, Baby Stonk, a game promo being sold for 20 cents. That is freaking weird to me. You might want to heat up Proglios off the market along with the, these are towards 4. So I just find, even though Proglio's not the best card in the world, it actually does have an interesting effect. It is tied to Link, so under the Master Rule may get worse, but game promos under 20 cents, something just feels wrong about that completely. Now, when I look over at Microcoder, he has a lot of upward potential, and he has been creeping up in price and only has a few under 16. This card is being talked about for generically being good with other Cyberse cards, such as Salomon Great, and you can also add, you know, Signet Mining, and people are all going to have their hands on Signet Mining soon, so this is just a card to consider having sooner than later access to. And if you're actually looking at Code Talkers themselves, Code Radiator, while extra linking may not matter anymore, it won't lock your opponent out, is actually at one of its cheapest points ever as well, towards $5. So if you're looking in the Cyberse realm, or you've just been waiting for these to bottom out, this is about the bottom out point for these kinds of cards. Do consider them. And if you're talking penny stocks, a game promo, it just doesn't make sense. Did he get reprinted somewhere? Proglio. Am I just missing something? No, only the one copy. Big market brain. If I was still buying and selling, I would buy these out before showing them on Market Watch. But I always love showing you guys the deals first so you can have them, and just letting you guys take whatever you want. That being said, please use my TCG player link in the description down below if you appreciate that kind of back and forth with the audience, or check out the Patreon if you want to give directly. No pressure, by the way. Always take care of you and your own first before taking care of the YouTuber man over on the other side of the screen. Make sure you're good before me every single day. Thank you guys so much for watching today's Market Watch. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation. I know there's been a lot of news lately, and don't just go at, oh boy, card release, buyout, please chill out a little. I get everybody's hype right now, but some of these are a little bit big brain when it comes to that mentality, and you need to chill out just a bit with the buyouts. A little bit, please.